I'm Braden Thornton, and this is Weather HQ.
The National Weather Service puts out many different alerts, and sometimes they can be a little confusing. To most people, flash flood and flood have the same meaning, and it doesn't make much sense why both exist. The same can be said for lakeshore flood and coastal flood alerts. In this video, I'll be breaking down the differences between all the mainstream flood alerts, including the following: flood, flash flood, coastal flood, and lakeshore flood. This will include the watch, advisory, and warning variants of the alerts. So let's get into it, shall we? First, let's go over the alerts for flooding and flash flooding. A flash flood watch is issued when conditions are favorable for flash flooding. It does not mean that flash flooding will occur, but it is possible. A flood watch is issued when conditions are favorable for flooding. It does not mean flooding will occur, but it is possible. A flash flood warning is issued when flash flooding is imminent or occurring. A flood warning is issued when flooding is imminent or occurring. Now, what is the difference between flash and plain old flood? Well, flash floods usually occur quickly within a short period of time, usually 6 hours, hence the word flash meaning quick. These typically occur from heavy downpours from something like thunderstorms. Flash floods are usually characterized by raging torrents after heavy rains that rip through riverbeds, urban streets, or mountain canyons, sweeping everything before them. As for the simple flood alerts, these occur when water overflows onto what is normally dry land, usually from a river, pond, dam failure, or an ice jam. These can last for days, weeks, and in rare cases, several months. Rain does not need to fall for flooding to occur. Rapid snowmelt or even upstream recent rainfalls can flow downstream and impact an area that hasn't seen a single drop of rain. And now let's move on to the difference between a coastal flood and a lakeshore flood. Alerts. A coastal flood watch is issued when moderate to major coastal flooding is possible. Such flooding would potentially pose a serious risk to life and property. Coastal flood watches are issued for coastal areas along the tidal Potomac River and coastal areas along the Chesapeake Bay. A coastal flood warning is issued when moderate to major coastal flooding is occurring or imminent. This flooding will pose a serious risk to life and property. Coastal flood warnings are issued for coastal areas along the tidal Potomac River and areas along the Chesapeake Bay. Coastal flood advisory. A coastal flood advisory is issued when minor or nuisance coastal flooding is imminent or occurring. Now for the lakeshore flood alerts. A lakeshore flood watch informs the public that lakeshore flooding is possible. A watch would be issued within 12 to 36 hours in advance. A lakeshore flood warning informs the public that lakeshore flooding, posing a serious threat to life and property, is occurring, imminent, or highly likely in the next 12 hours. A lakeshore flood advisory is issued when minor lakeshore flooding that may pose a threat to life and/or property is occurring or imminent within the next 12 hours, just to a lesser scale. So what is the main difference between lakeshore flooding and coastal flooding? Well, lakeshore flood alerts are issued exclusively along the Great Lakes and usually for high wind events causing massive waves that flood the beaches along the shores. As for coastal flood alerts, the majority of them are issued along the ocean coast of the United States, but for some, National Weather Service offices around the Great Lakes recognize and issue these alerts as needed for possible flooding along the coast, usually due to high surf. Thank you all so much for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this. Also leave feedback as it really helps out the channel. This has been Weather HQ, signing off.